finally, an answer to the age-old question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg roll? Easy. Just eat whichever one's closest. The Sensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal are back at Zaxby's. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, crispy wontons, Asian slaw, and citrus vinaigrette. And each comes with its very own egg roll for a limited time only at Zaxby's. Try them with fried pickles while supplies last.
From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, probably presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. We're in a good mood over here at Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code WARCHANT30 for 30 free days of access to the website. We're pumped. We got the number 5 team in the nation coming to Tallahassee. We're going to talk about that. We're going to give away some free stuff after this over-under, however it registers. And more importantly, the big dog, Corey Clark, probably in a good mood right now as his Braves take a commanding 3-1 lead in the NLCS. So as Bryce Wilson, has he vaulted ahead of Charlie Leibrandt and now just a smidge behind Steve Avery in your power rankings of all-time favorite Braves pitchers?
Oh, he was ahead of Charlie Leibrandt before the game started. Charlie Leibrandt gave up the game winner to Kirby Puckett.
I know.
In Game 6. So, yeah, Leibrandt get a bad rap. He was really good. He was used in relief there. It was bad managing, whatever. Yeah, that was incredible. Good job, Bryce Wilson. I know y'all didn't tune in for this, but it was just exciting to see. That's not an Atlanta sports moment. That's not how they usually go. A guy making his third start of his career against Clayton flipping Kershaw, and he outduels him. And in that lineup, he gives up 1 hit in 6 innings. That's not what we were thinking was going to happen. Certainly not anything we're accustomed to seeing. So, yep, still got one more to get, though, Aslan. The last one's the toughest.
That's right.
As the Astros are proven.
Seriously, man, I feel like I put the bad juju on the Rays, man. They're slowly letting that one slip through their fingers. We'll see if they can tighten up. What would happen if it was the Rays versus the Braves? Like, we'd have to, if the Rays were to win, like if the Braves were to win, I would take you out to Burns or something, or would I take you to Mons to show you the best of Tampa?
But not Mons. Yeah, I guess the steakhouse would be good.
Okay.
We would do that, sure.
Okay. Where's the best one in Atlanta again?
They have a lot, man. They have Rathbones. They have Bones, Chops, Sizzler. It's a couple of Sizzlers, actually.
Okay.
That are nice. The thing about Sizzlers, you can get salad, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so just throwing that out there.
Just like Zaxby's, you can get salads there as well, in addition to their hand-breaded, delicious fried chicken. We do like that a lot over here at the Midtown offices. By the way, T-shirt went out to Gort Loves the Knowles, and some free food went out to King V99. Everybody else was MIA. I tagged all of you in the post, said that you won stuff, but you didn't get back to me. So check out warchant.com, Tribal Council, for details on that. All right, so the big news of the day from Thursday was that the first family, not the first family, but, Chubba Purdy's parents got in a jet airplane, Corey Clark. They're coming to Tallahassee. Why would they come to Tallahassee?
Big fans of Jordan Travis.
Okay.
Big fans of, and Kentron. Maybe they're big friends with Kentron. They know he's going to play a lot because Terry's out. So they want to get a firsthand view of that. Yeah, that's I tell you what, man. I guess there's nothing you can really do, but do you think Norvell pulls Chubba aside at some point? It's like, hey man, your mom, let's, the whole world knows you had COVID, and the whole world knew you fell through a glass window, a glass plate table, and that you broke your collarbone. She broke all of that, and now she's telling the world that you're going to be playing on Saturday, which isn't true necessarily. That doesn't mean he's not going to play, but obviously you would think it looks promising that he's at least in play. To get some snaps in that game.
Yeah, man. Mom, Dad, and Sis ain't coming from Arizona just to watch him, warm up. I would assume, right? You're not. Are you gonna fly out to see, see Brady warming up for Southern Cal when they're number one? If that's what comes to fruition.
I mean, again, the chances of Brady going to college are, I don't know not probably great, because obviously the signing bonus money that he's going to be offered will be too much to turn down.
You're right.
But if he goes to college, I think I'd fly out there. I was thinking about that today when that kid, again, it's not going to be a Brave-centric show, but that Bryce Wilson was pitching, and they kept showing his parents, who, by the way, looked like they were in the front row, which you never see parents that close to the field. It was like a travel ball game. Like they just had their lawn chairs right up, except it's an NLCS game. And I was wondering if he obviously handled it well because he pitched really well, but I was wondering if he really wanted his parents that close where he could like see them as he's getting a sign from the pitcher, or see them celebrating. I think you'd kind of want them. If Brady ever made it to some big stage like that, I feel almost certain I would sit in the outfield somewhere.
Yeah.
Or sit, in the end zone if he's a hot shot quarterback, which isn't going to happen. But you know what I mean? And so with Chubba's parents, that is a long way to go. But like just putting yourself in the position of those parents, like the first time he does take the field, what that must feel like. Like I get nervous for my kid when it's a third inning of just a regular stupid rec ball game. I can't imagine what it's like when your kid is playing a college football game on national television or getting ready to line up to kick a game-winning field goal or whatever the case may be.
Would you go like old Bartman, glasses, hat pulled down, headset on, just indiscreetly sitting in the outfield for Brady? Would you just totally try to blend in?
I'd like to think so, but then part of me thinks that I would want to yell some nonsense that he doesn't need to hear, but I have to get it off my chest, like almost like OCD. Like, stay back. Like, of course he's thinking to stay back. I just to, like, feel better that I told him something that I don't know.
Your hands at it.
Yeah, back shoulder, man. Drive with your hips, all that stuff. Like, I don't know if I could keep myself from just being – but I've done it before. I've sat in actually, his last tournament I just sat in center field and watched. The problem was he was playing center field, so he kept talking to me and just being a goofball. But, yeah, I think I would be away from the action. I don't think I'd want to be right up close. I wonder how they're going to be. I assume they're going to be wearing their Purdy jerseys. Yeah. And everybody's gonna know
them 12s.
They're there.
So
did
12s.
you check? Was that IG or Twitter that
Twitter? It was Twitter.
So is this the first time they've come? Did you go and check and see if they'd been to any of the other ones?
I did not do that. I did not go that far into my forensic files on the Purdy family.
Because maybe she does that before every Florida State football game. Maybe they're always flying to watch the Noles.
That's true.
But I doubt you would even known about it if that was the case. Yeah. Because I think the first time it happened, people would be like, oh, they're coming to the game. They must feel like he's going to play. So this was almost certainly the first time they've done that. That does lead you to believe that maybe he is playing. It doesn't make you think that Travis is like legitimately hurt, does it?
Well, I was going to ask you that because there's nothing that Jordan's done that makes you – I mean, I don't think there's anything Jordan's done that makes you think that they need to have like contingency plans in terms of ineffectiveness. Like that was the question people asked yesterday on the Renegade Express about with all these defenses being so terrible this year, does that give us sort of, make us look at the offense with a jaundiced eye kind of thing where it's like, hey, really, are they that good or is these defenses just that bad? I wasn't obviously that sold on Jordan Travis going to the season, but two games now, one start and then one pretty much full action. He looks good enough. I mean, there's nothing I see that he's not holding this offense back. But I don't know.
Well, that's what makes me think
the injury against Notre Dame maybe is more than they're leading on. But it didn't look. You saw him getting his hand checked out. They showed the slow-mo replay. Like his fingers looked like they kind of got rolled up weird, but there wasn't anything funky and gross. Like there wasn't a finger sticking the wrong way or his wrist wasn't. Bent 90 degrees in the incorrect fashion. So I take him at his word for it. I think he's healthy. That's what makes me kind of curious about why they're continuing to kind of maybe push Chubba up the depth chart. Maybe he's as good as I had hoped.
It could be, man. It could be that. It could be that maybe he is a little more banged up or they're not sure, maybe it's a game time decision as far as how well he can grip the ball or if he takes a hit on it. Right. And also he wouldn't come out and say, yeah, my hand's a little banged up. It's a little tender. You wouldn't tell North Carolina that. You wouldn't want them to know that. I'm not saying they're mean dudes over there, but if the quarterback's right hand hurts and he runs a lot, you probably figure out a way to make him land on that hand or do something to that hand. I mean, that's just the nature of the sport. So you want to act like you're healthy even if you're not. But it does make me wonder maybe, again, I don't quite understand having a Chubba package when he's very similar to the other guy. It would be like having Blackman starting but having a Rodemaker package.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what's they're the
6 and 1 half dozen the other.
Yeah. So similar skill sets, I guess. Not similar players necessarily, but similar skill sets. So, but I mean, yeah, this season is so different and so unique, and they do want to probably give him some reps just for later on in the season and obviously later throughout his career, that maybe they are looking to run him out there in certain situations or give him the third series no matter what. Maybe he's been lighting up in practice, or maybe his family just wants to. They miss him and they haven't seen him in a while, and they're going to come down. They were planning on coming to this game no matter what.
Yeah. It's the number 5 team in the nation. It's a good game to come out to. It's going to be the highest ranked opponent. Wait, no, Clemson's coming here. I thought. Yeah. How quickly I forget I was in Death Valley for that nonsense last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does make you kind of wonder that maybe Mike Norvell hasn't ever given anybody playing time just to give him playing time. You have to kind of earn it. It sounds like so. Maybe maybe Chubba has come a bit of a way since post-op on that collarbone, and we'll see how it goes. So that's.
I just don't think if Jordan was like legitimately hurt, like he can't go. You don't let him talk to the media.
Right.
Especially when he missed the offensive day on Tuesday. Usually we get offensive players on Tuesday, defensive players on Wednesday. But Jordan had a class conflict when you're like, oh, there you go. Like, we'll see. He has a class conflict. All of a sudden he can't talk because you don't want to ask anybody to lie to people. Like, you can tell him to be cagey. But if Jordan like maybe just defer the question, don't answer the question, do the best you can to be diplomatic without answering it. But you don't want to flat out lie to people. And you certainly wouldn't want we get coach speak. We know coaches are never going to be 100% truthful about injuries. I'm not even sure Hamps is injured. Who knows what's going on there? But so we know that's going to happen. But you don't want to ask the 19, 20-year-old football player, hey man, if they ask you if you're healthy, lie to them and say yeah.
Right.
And you don't put that on him to do that. So the fact that he answered questions and he was made available to the media makes me think that he's certainly healthy enough to play. So I just, again, it might literally just be they missed Chubba. Maybe it's a fall break in Arizona and they had a few days off and they're going to come and spend a long weekend with him. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, they also did make Tamorrion Terry available to us, and then, 36 hours later, he had knee surgery, which was successful, it looks like. There's a photo that he tweeted out of him in a wheelchair out front of wherever he had the procedure done at. So no timetable on that, but he didn't say anything about, like, it's been real Florida State. I guess he said, like, time to go back to work or something like that. I think he said something along the lines of that. I should pull up the tweet. But what do you think about that? Was that the last we saw Tamorrion, you think, in Notre Dame?
I don't know. And could you blame him?
No,
absolutely not. But I don't know if he did enough to really. Part of me is like, yeah, man, just take the next 9 weeks to get healthy, and then whenever that combine happens to be 100% healthy for that. Don't risk it again. But then it's almost like, well, man, you just wasted 10 months of your life. Like, if you don't put any more film up, if you don't show that you're the guy you were against Notre Dame, that's who you are now, and they don't think it's a fluke, if you show, and also they're going to be worried about your knee. So if you are healthy, say by 4 weeks after this or 3 weeks after this, and you can go full speed, you're going to want to show people that. Because trust me, man, if they have issues, if they have concerns about your body, about your health and especially knees, you're going to drop. And so, to me, it would be almost of a waste of coming back for a year, because he's not going to go any higher than he would have last year. He didn't up his stock at all with essentially one game in 12 months, and then in a surgery or procedure right after that. So, I could understand being like, take it cautiously, don't come back, but I could also understand the other side of, I want to put 3 more games out, 3 or 4 more game films out, and dominate. And show people that if I was healthy, I might have been the best receiver in the country. And then maybe he can work himself into the first round. But again, that's easy for me to say. He could also get hurt worse and then not be draftable at all.
Wouldn't it be ironic if he comes back specifically for the bowl game? Get like that one last hoorah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, man, that would be cool. That'd be cool for Old Smart. Yeah, it'd be the inverse of what we've seen the last 5 years.
His tweet reads, surgery went good, more than bless, hands together emoji, 100 emoji, time to work, flexed arm emoji. So he's got a Florida State shirt on in the as he's sitting out front the place where he got the procedure done as well, too. So if you want to
better than a Gators shirt, I guess.
Yeah, or just NFL PA or something,
Yeah, that's right. An agency, some
Yeah, right.
Lee Steinberg and Associates.
Right. Oh man, good stuff. All right, Corey. So you wrote a column, or was it a column about the whole, back in the day, 1997? We saw this.
No, I made it more of just a story. It could have been a column, but I feel like that's all I'm good for now is to write, back in yesteryear columns because I happen to be at these games. So I was like, I'm just gonna make it more of a straight ahead story, not necessarily a column of my opinion on it. But I doubt you read it. You should.
I haven't yet.
It's good. But it was about the 1997 North Carolina-Florida State game because that was the last time that North Carolina was ranked this high. And also, the Mac Brown was the coach then too. And I kind of went into, detail about that game. Do you remember that at all? Do you remember that game?
Not at all. I remember people talking about it, and I'm like, they were ranked 5th that year? Like, the fact that North Carolina was even ranked that high was just bizarre to me.
And that was their only loss. They lost to Florida State 20-3, and they finished 11-1, and I think 4th or 5th in the nation. And I remember at the time being like, well, they're a pretty good team, because I was at the game. I went with my dad, and we were just laughing at the scene because it was, they were treating it like the game of the century. But as a Florida State fan in 1997, you're like, guys, come on, this is 56,000 seats, and you guys don't know how to do this. We've been to the Orange Bowl, we've been to the Swamp, Sugar Bowl, all that. But I remember thinking kind of like it was cute. Probably how like North Carolina basketball fans think about Florida State when they're good. Like, oh, that's kind of cool that they have a good team. But they're not going to win anything. I think that's flipped now. Florida State's been a better program here recently. But so I went back, and I remember the game. I remember E.G. Green making an incredible catch for a touchdown, and I remembered the score, and that was about it. But I went back and looked, and I knew North Carolina had a good defense. I remember Dre Bly. That was the only guy. Man, North Carolina had 4 first-round picks on that defense. They had
Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, Julius Peppers. No, they had Greg Ellis, who I think played for the Cowboys for a while. Vonnie Holiday.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Ekubon.
Yes.
And then another guy I don't remember.
I know these names.
And then Dre Bly was a second-round pick. Well, anyway, they had 12 guys drafted off that defense that played in that game. They had 12 guys. Florida State had 15 just off the defense. And maybe more. I looked at the stats. I just looked at the stats on Knoll Fan about who made tackles. Right. And of the 19 players that made tackles for Florida State, 15 were drafted. 3 first round, 5 second round. I mean, it was Wadsworth, Greg Spires, Sam Cowart, Samari Roll, Derek Gibson, Jamal Reynolds, Corey Simon. It was unbelievable, the amount of talent on both sides of the ball. And it gets lost, that game, in the history because there's been, so many great Florida State-Miami games or Florida State-Clemson games. But I added it up. It was like 45 guys combined were drafted off the two teams, 9 first-rounders. Just kind of maybe more than that, 10 or 11.
Samari Roll's second-round pick.
Yeah. And Sam Cowart was a second-round pick. And Trey Thomas was a first-round pick. He was on that team. Peter Warwick was on that team and had a big catch.
By the way, Brian Simmons was the other first-round pick from North Carolina.
Do you know him? Do you remember that name?
No, I just pulled up Pro Football Reference, rather.
But in that game, and this is what brings us back to today, in that game, just in that game alone, number one, North Carolina had 73 yards of total offense for 4 quarters.
How much?
73.
Jeez.
Florida State had 15 tackles for loss and 9 sacks. So the question, Aslan, is will Florida State get more sacks? And I'm almost positive they were all from defensive linemen. Greg Spires had 4. Andre Wadsworth had 3. I think Simon might have had 1. I think they were all from defensive linemen. The question is, will Florida State get that many sacks the rest of the season?
Oh, that's just...
And it makes you long for yesteryear a little bit, folks, doesn't it?
God, I would think so. They got to figure it out. I hope so. I'm just gonna be hopeful. But I don't think I'd bet on it though. I do know that's on the over-under though is going to be sacks.
Because face, when you think about who they face still, they face Sam Howell, who has a quick release and is hard to tackle. Trevor Lawrence, who they're probably not going to sniff him. The Cunningham kid at Louisville, who's maneuverable. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough to get to as many sacks as they had in that one game. I mean, 15 tackles for loss. Mac Brown, come on, man. He did. It was funny. He was asked about that. I was watching one of his weekly press conferences, and somebody was asking about that game because, as you can imagine, the similarities that they're number 5 again. The last time they were 5th ranked, they played Florida State as well. So he was asked about that game, and he's like, "Well, look," in the similarities between this year's team and that team, and he goes, "Well, look," he goes, "Our offense is much better." Obviously than it was last year. We're a lot more dynamic and explosive than we were in 1997. But our defense isn't close because we had the best defense in the country. And I want to be like, well, hold up, Mac, now. Yeah. You didn't even have the best defense on that field. But then when you look at the names, you're like, well, gosh, darn, you did have a really good defense. I mean, I didn't realize it was that good. At the time, you're like, it's kind of cute. North Carolina has themselves a good team, but Florida State still went up and dominated. Then with the ability of hindsight to look back, you're like, wow, that was one of the all-time great defenses in ACC history.
I would have, if you would have set the over-under at, like 2.5 first-round picks for North Carolina, I'd have hammered the under. I'd have hammered it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that happened, what the confluence of events was that they got all that talent at one time. And then Mac Brown left and nothing happened. Like it just disappeared for 20 years.
Yep. Now Mac's back.
And Florida State isn't.
So what do you think about the game then, Corey? We'll get to over-under here in a little bit. But, my thing was early in the week I mentioned I was sort of bracing for the worst. I was bracing for like Miami Part 2 against Notre Dame. And the fact that did not happen was extremely refreshing. And listen, I get it, people. Everybody's like, this is what Florida State's fallen to. You're happy that you only lost by 16. And it's like, yeah, man. The top 5 teams they've played the last 3 years, I mean, those halftime scores you were talking about, even going back to 2017 against Clemson, were just one-sided absolute beatdowns. And the fact that you hung tough for 4 quarters, and there's circumstances and variables in play against Notre Dame that are not going to be on Florida State's side against North Carolina. But I did feel that maybe they got that sort of like stink out of their system. But then I think about last year, and I was bracing for the worst against Virginia, and they played Virginia really close. And then we saw kind of how things deteriorated from there. They had 2 awful losses later on the season. I mean, do you think that Florida State has at least moved beyond, maybe not Clemson, but number 5 Notre Dame, number 5 North Carolina, bit of a different cut of cloth than Clemson? I mean, do you believe that Florida State can at least be competitive in these games, be in a fourth quarter, 1 score, 2 possession kind of game, and maybe find a way? Or those are 2 separate thoughts. Maybe not find a way to win, but just do you think they at least have this sort of – you talk about like losers' DNA, winners' DNA, like where North Carolina's come from. Like Florida State, I mean, you could have maybe thought that they found that out 2018 against Louisville, the way they came back and won that game, but it didn't ever, materialize from there. Like, have they figured it out? At least just to be competitive, to play hard for 4 quarters and make these, fans not be disgusted at the end of the day?
I mean, I'd have to see them on Saturday night. I don't think I can answer that yet. It's too early. I do think that they might have found a little toughness mentally, at least, against Notre Dame. But again, that could all come crashing down on Saturday night. It's not a cop-out. I really don't know. I can't predict. It's hard to predict after one game because you're right. They, even the Miami game in 2018, they weren't supposed to win that game. Their offense had been horrible all year, and then they're up 27-7 in the second half and getting the ball back, and then we all know how that ended. But so you don't really know, but that's what you hope for. And I just, until this defense proves that it can stop something when it matters, I have a hard time thinking that you can flush that kind of not DNA, but it's just going to be hard for them to believe they can win this game if the defense immediately goes out there and gives up 2 or 3 scores in the first quarter. Like, you can fight back. It would be nice to see you fight back, but man, it gets to be so demoralizing to have a defense that can't stop anyone. So if the defense goes out, that's what I want to see. If the defense goes out and maybe gets a stop or 2, makes a play, bats down a pass, intercepts something, then we'll go from there and see. But until I see it, it's hard to predict it. Again, I know that's a cop-out. I apologize.
I'm going to say this. I think if Florida State can hold North Carolina to 10 or less points in the first quarter, I will say upset happens.
Oh, all right.
Don't let them get in the end zone twice in the first quarter.
Okay, well, that's a really low bar, but hey, that would be a great bar for them to clear, considering what's happened the last 2 times they played good offenses.
Yeah, there's going to be some. I whatever injury Jordan Travis is dealing with, I don't know the extent of it, but I would hope that I'm going to be optimistic and hopeful that if he's able to play, he's going to build off what he did against Notre Dame. I mean, we saw it against Jacksonville State. It's Jacksonville State, whatever. But the way he played against Notre Dame, I thought was encouraging. He wasn't a Davey O'Brien guy out there or anything like that, but enough to where you feel that's your first start. You definitely. Kenny Dillingham talked about how well Jordan saw the game and could give them good sort of feedback live in game and what he saw and what he's thinking. I just think he can definitely build off of that. And North Carolina, I know their defense is all right, and they got some experience there, but I think the Notre Dame defense was better. It's at home. You're going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more comfortable, I would think. I think there's some things that make me feel good about, but then Terry not being there obviously is a real big downer when I think about the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would move. To me, losing Terry is like a 2 or 3 point line mover.
Woo.
If you're in
see
Vegas.
That? Saban, obviously Saban can't coach. It only moved the line 3 points. I wonder if he's going to use that as bulletin board material.
How about them still wondering, like, I wonder he should be, I know that's a talking point around Alabama, and Saban's brought it up. Like, why can't I coach remotely? I should be able to coach remotely. It's like, I know Florida State Miami isn't what it used to be, but did none of y'all pay attention? Like, did it just go in the wind? You didn't even know that happened? Like, there's been a coach at a marquee program, marquee in quotes right now, but Florida State is one of the traditional powers, and that's one of the big games. It's certainly a bigger rivalry historically than Georgia-Alabama, and seeing as Georgia's won 1 national title in 40 years. So how does that go about with them not even thinking, like even asking how Norvell did it?
Right.
Like just not even knowing. Oh yeah, he had to stay at his house. That's too bad. Yeah. But I'm Nick Saban.
I like Saban's sort of excuse or explanation was, I just really hate to think about, something going wrong and then one of my assistants getting criticized for something. Like,
yeah.
Nick's like, yeah, put it on me. I want it to be on me.
Remember how everybody was so irate with Chris Thompson after the Miami game?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
they're like, Thompson again, lets us down again.
Run him out of here. Go
What's
back
he
to
doing
TCU.
starting Blackman? Man, it's not nobody. No assistant is going to take any grief because they blame them for the loss instead of Saban.
I wonder if anybody from Alabama did call Florida State though. Maybe not even a coach, but like compliance or anything like that. Like, hey, so like, did you try? Like, did you guys
maybe
try
a text? I think you send a text or an email to be like, what did they tell you? Because it might be an ACC, it might not be a national rule. It maybe just be an ACC rule. So they might have asked like, what were what avenues did you go through to try to see if this could happen? What were you told, et cetera, et cetera.
So are you excited though, Corey? Come on, man! Top 5 team. This is big. I really think it's a legitimate opportunity to flip the season on its head, man. It's a wacky season. Why not? Why not us, Corey? Why not us? Why not Warren Thompson rise to the occasion?
It's not a real top 5 team. I'm not trying to badmouth North Carolina. No ill will there, but they're not the 5th best team in the country. Come on, man. I'm not even quite sure they're one of the top 3 teams in the ACC or top 4. Who knows? They haven't. They didn't look all that great against Syracuse.
Boston College.
They barely beat Boston College, and then they gave up 45 points to Virginia Tech.
A battered, well, not battered, but a depleted Virginia Tech.
Depleted, very depleted. Like I think they were Virginia Tech was without 17 or 18 guys for that game. But not only that, the week before, their game before, they were without like 38.
Yeah.
So none of those guys that even came back for the Carolina game had practiced much. So and they put up 56, which is really impressive, but they also gave up 45. So this isn't out of the realm of possibility. This isn't an incredible. Like I didn't think they had any shot against Notre Dame. I just didn't. Some crazy things would have had to happen, and they surprised me with how well they played. I thought that was going to be a blowout. I would have taken Notre Dame and given the points if I was a betting person. Yeah. With this one, I'm not so sure. I do think that there's a chance that Florida State could surprise them. I think Florida State could be getting better. It all comes back to the pass rush, and it all comes back to being able to, just the defensive line as a whole. Like if the defensive line shows up and plays better than average, not better than they have been, because anybody could play better than they have been, but better than average, shows up and is a good defensive line, tough to block, makes some plays. They don't have to dominate the game like the 97 Florida State team, but if they just show up and make some plays and don't get run over, then yeah, that to me is the recipe to pull off the upset.
All right. I like it.
It could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. I would be surprised because I don't believe in the defense. How could anyone? Yeah. And losing your best wide receiver and one of the best wide receivers in the country when he's healthy makes it harder for Jordan Travis. Makes it harder for everyone. So you're gonna have to have somebody. You have to have somebody be a Bryce Wilson.
There we go.
Just step up when nobody knows you're coming. Just Darian Williamson, right? That's his name, right?
Yeah.
Step up, buddy. It's your Bryce Wilson moment.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's looking at Portier, maybe Darren Williamson or Ja'Kai Douglas. One of these, Corey Wren, maybe he becomes a factor other than catching kickoffs off his face mask. Maybe he makes an impact, and you dominate special teams. That's one thing you're going to have to do, and you cannot turn the ball over. They did a good job against Notre Dame. They won the turnover battle, and that's one of the reasons they were in the game, because that essentially gave them 2 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah.
So you do that. You don't turn it over. If you can win the turnover battle and win special teams, at least it gives you a shot. And if Jordan Travis continues to get better, at least it gives you a shot. But Terry out makes it a lot more dicey. Like, it's going to make it a lot tougher. That was, again, like I said yesterday, I think that's a guy that gives you a free. At some point along the game, he might blow the roof off it and give you a free 80-yard touchdown that you're not going to get otherwise. You're going to have to go earn these yards. Not that I'm saying you don't when you throw an 80-yard bomb, but that's just one play, one read. You throw it, he beats his man. Ooh, there's an easy touchdown. You're probably not going to get a lot of easy touchdowns and big explosive plays, because other than him, they haven't had a ton of explosive plays, right?
No.
They had what have they had? The Helton touchdown, right, against Jacksonville State, and then the 2 long Terry catches. And all their other big plays have been, 20, 25 yards, somewhere in that neighborhood?
Yeah, they've had some explosives, but yeah, nothing.
You know what I mean? Like 60-yard, 80-yard, long touchdowns. They haven't had a ton of those. They've had to string drives together, in which they've done a very good job with Travis. But, man, it'd be nice to know that once or twice you might have a shot to hit him for 80.
They had 11 chunk plays against Notre Dame. Obviously the pass to Terry, but he had 2 other completions from 30 or more. One was a Toafili. I think that was a bit of a screen pass, and then Travis ran.
No, that was the rollout to the right. It was a really nice throw. I think it might have been on the first drive. That was a really nice throw, and then I think he had the other one to Terry, right?
Third play of the
and I think he had a long run, too.
Yeah, 33 yards, fourth quarter to kind of start things off. So, yeah, get a couple more of those. What do you think about the fact that North Carolina, Phil Longo, their offensive coordinator, they do a lot of up-tempo. They're very fast. Like, is there any way that could play into Florida State's favor? Like, with the defensive line? I don't know. Like,
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. All right, let's do over-unders. Appreciate that, Corey. That was a stupid question. That's the way you got to respond it sometimes.
No, I mean, maybe if they do it so fast that they keep false starting, that'd help.
Oh, man, I just want a big game out of Marvin, man. I just want
I just want to see Florida State win a game, man. Just for one day to feel good about the program and to be talked about well. Like, even if it's like Scott Van Pelt at 11:45 at night going and hey, in Tallahassee, the fighting Norvells get off the deck. And he's got that thing turned around. The things are looking in the right direction as they beat North Carolina 38-34. You just one time you'd like to see that. Again, I keep going back to it. South Carolina beat Georgia last year in Georgia. Like, these things do happen, and the only way this can happen though is you got to get some good stuff to happen early. You got to be up early, and you got to start believing in yourself. That's the only way it can happen. Like, I do think still, if they get down 17-0 or 24-6 or whatever it might be, that's going to be real trouble. But if they can hang with them and get into the fourth quarter, and it's a game again, then just see what happens. But, man, it would be nice if they could make some plays in the fourth quarter and beat a good team.
Real quick, I just want to see, as we go to over-under, Williams Sportsbook, coldest beverages, largest televisions, best hospitality, Williams Sportsbook. First one from the Women's Sportsbook, over under, Corey. Sacks on Sam Howell, 1/2. Virginia Tech sacked him once.
I mean, he's going to do this every week, old Gene. He's going to have the 1/2 line.
4 total pressures, 3 hurries, 1 sack. That was the extent of the pressure Virginia Tech got on him.
You know what? I think there's going to be a 3rd and long. I think at some point in the game, maybe early, it's 3rd down. There's going to be a blitz where it somehow a blitzer from his blind side finally comes free and sacks him in the back. Doesn't even see him coming. I'm saying Amari Gaynor or maybe even Emmett Rice comes through on a blitz, and Sam Howell doesn't see him, doesn't pick him up. He's about to throw it to one of his big, tall wide receivers for a huge gain, and he gets crushed from behind. Might even be a strip sack. Game-changing play maybe. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go over. That will be the only one. But I'm going to go over and say yes, they get more than half a sack.
I'm going to as well. Brendan Gant maybe. Maybe Brendan Gant comes flying like a whirling dervish and finally gets home and makes something happen. Yeah. Have to take the over on a half. Just have to, out of principle. I mean, come on,
Right.
have some pride, everybody. I mean, it had to have been emphasized. Just like, hey, you guys realize we didn't get one single sack on this guy. It wasn't Lamar Jackson, it was Ian Book. What are you doing with your lives? Figure it out.
Right.
I'm sure Adam Fuller said that. Pokey Wilson catches 5.5, over, under.
Under.
Ooh, I would say like 5.
That's a lot, man. Yeah. And again, I don't know how often they're going to be throwing it. I think you would think, when we talk about Norvell, it kind of goes back to how I thought he screwed up at the end of the second quarter against Notre Dame, where you have to know your team.
Yeah.
Well, as you talked about with North Carolina going fast, the only way Florida State can win this game, they have to shorten the possessions. I know he likes to go fast at times and he wants to be up tempo at times, but the only way they're going to win the game is if North Carolina gets the ball 10 times instead of 16 times. Because if North Carolina has the ball 15 or 16 times, buddy, they're going to be scoring at least half the time. But if you cut those possessions by a third and you have a lot of sustained drives that are 75 plays in 6 minutes or 7.5 minutes, that's how you win this game. So, but to do that, I don't think you're going to be throwing a lot of you're going to be passing the ball a ton. I mean, that would be. Don't you think? What do you envision
that
Jordan
definitely
Travis's?
makes sense. That makes sense, man. I was going to take the under, but I'm gonna say over though.
Oh, even though I made sense, you're
You
still
did.
going against the grain.
They got to zag on you. They have to. It's a track meet. You got to run.
All right, okay. I'm going under. What do you think the over under for completions would be for Travis? Because I was going to say somewhere in the neighborhood like 15 or 16.
Ooh, I was going to say like 19.5.
Oh, okay. All right. I think it's going to be more of his legs. It's going to be obviously Chubba's going to be in there throwing it around.
Chubba
for his parents who flew all the way in from Arizona.
Let's go.
We'll see. Hey, man, I hope Pokey has 19 catches for 344 yards.
I do too. LaDamian Webb rushing yards. This, I don't know, 67.5. I'm going to take the over on that.
It's a good number, though, Gene. That's a good number, my man. I'm going to say under. Oh. I think he'll have a nice game, but I think Toafili's going to get a few more touches as well.
Oh, okay.
I think he only had 3 carries in that game. I think you're going to try to get him the ball a little bit more.
Let me see if I can confirm or deny that. Toafili, 1 catch. 3 attempts, 1 yard. Huh.
Come on, man. And I think he had a 6-yard run, right? And then he had 2 for -7, obviously.
Look at
or
you.
-5.
Look at you. Jordan Travis, all-purpose yards, 289.5.
Man, I'm proud of Gene. These are tough. These are tough because I don't envision Jordan running for 100 yards every game. I just don't I don't know that that's sustainable. I don't think that's what they want. I think they want him to pick his spots. I don't think they're going to do a ton of design runs. Maybe that's what they do with Chubba. Now that he's got that bionic collarbone, they put him in on 3rd and 2, but so they can save Jordan the wear and tear. But I would say so. Then you're saying if I say he runs for 48 yards and that includes sacks, then that means he's got to throw for 240. That just seems like a lot. But Yeah, that just seems like a lot. I'm going under.
This can't be right. I want to see how many yards Virginia Tech threw on North Carolina last week.
It wasn't a ton. I think they had like
79 yards is what Pro Football Focus says. I can't pivot.
Yeah, and I think they only had less than 300 yards of offense total.
Look at
like
that.
I think they had a kick return or an onside kick and a couple of other things that kept them in the game.
So what did you say, under or over on 289.5?
I said under.
I am too. Chubba, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go, Chubba. FSU defense tackles for loss 2.5.
Over.
What?
Over. I think they're going to get a couple tackles on the backs in the backfield. I think Marvin Wilson and Corey Durden are tired of hearing us talk poorly of them. I think they're gonna show up, show out. J. Rob might make a play. He's due. Kando's due. Yeah, I think you got 3 in there. I think you got the one sack I've already talked about with the blind side hit on Howell with the blitz. It's a strip sack, maybe even a fumble return for a touchdown. I don't know who's going to return it though. It might be Kando. Kando might pick it up and go with it. And then I think you'll have 2 more throughout the game, especially if North Carolina's if they run like 84 plays. You're telling me you can't get back there 3 times? Come on, guys. Come on.
Trying to see. Do they have TF? I mean, I should have had terrible planning here by your guy. Can't see what I want to see what the tackles for loss he might have had against North Carolina to compare against. I'm going to say under. I think 2. You know, that's all they're going to need. It's going to be track meet. It's well-timed.
Well-timed tackles for loss. Yeah, it's going to be a 4th and short, and that's a tackle for loss when they stuff Howell cold on the option. And then yeah, maybe a bad snap, maybe a snap over Howell's head.
There we go.
And he has to go scramble to try to jump on it. That's a tackle for loss right there.
This is the official. I thought I saw a number lower than this, but the official over/under for points, total points, 64. Corey.
Oh, jeez. Man, this isn't how life is supposed to be. Me trying to figure out, do the math in my head of, okay, if Carolina's going to score 42, so what does Florida State have to score to get to the line? I guess I have. Yeah, there's no way I can say under. There's just no way I can say under. I'm going to keep saying over until Florida State proves me wrong. So I'm going to say over.
Ooh.
If you think it's going to be a track meet, you got no choice.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Over. Let's go.
There you go, dog. There you go.
38-34, Florida State.
Sure. Hey, man. That's the score I predicted. It's what we're going to hear Scott Van Pelt say that on Saturday night as the Braves are celebrating their National League championship, the pennant. That's going to be something. Watching the Knowles, Georgia's on, the Braves are on. I only got one TV. Going to be good stuff.
Yeah, I hope the Braves get it done, so I don't have to wait until.
Tonight. People are listening to this on Friday. They don't start the game tonight until 9:08. It's going to end at like 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, and the Braves don't have anybody to pitch, so it's probably not going to be pretty. But hey, what do you know? The pressure's on the Dodgers.
Hey man, 27 outs, piece of cake, Corey.
Well, they're definitely going to get 27 outs tonight. The question is how many runs in between. But since the Dodgers are the visiting team, they're definitely going to get 27 outs.
Well said. Well said. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in for another great week of Florida State discourse here on Wake Up Warchant. Get your over-unders in over on the Tribal Council over on warchant.com. Promo code's warchant30 for 30 for days of access. Thumbs up on the way out if you listen to us on YouTube. We do appreciate it. Have a great weekend out there, everybody. It's going to happen. Feel good about it. Have a great one. Thanks for listening.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.